Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to dive into a topic that's, well, absolutely critical for anyone building or even just relying on digital services. We're talking about resilience. We're going to break down how you can design systems that can actually survive pretty much anything, from a tiny glitch to a full-blown disaster. So let's just kick things off with a question that probably keeps a lot of you up at night. You've poured everything into building on a single cloud provider. It's smart, it's powerful, it's efficient. But what happens when that provider has a really, really bad day? The services your customers need, the ones your business runs on, they could just disappear. The easiest way to think about this is with an analogy. Let's talk about your priceless family photos. You back them up, right? But where do you keep that backup drive? Keeping it in the same house is super easy. But if there's a fire, you lose both the original and the backup. Giving a copy to a friend across town? Okay, that's much safer. But storing a copy in a high-security vault in another country? Well, that's the ultimate protection, but it's also the most work. This is the exact same logic we're about to apply to cloud architecture. So what we're really talking about here is something called digital resilience. And it's not just about surviving a failure. It's about being able to recover so quickly and so smoothly that your users might not even notice anything went wrong. That's the gold standard. That's the goal. All right, let's break this down, and we'll start with what we'll call the crawl phase. This is the foundation, right? It's the most common starting point for just about everyone. So what is a single region architecture? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It means all your digital eggs are in one basket. Your servers, your databases, your entire app, it all lives in one single physical data center location, like, say, Azure's East US region. And you can see the appeal, right? It's simple to manage, it's by far the cheapest option, and because all the pieces are close to each other, performance is super fast. But the risk? It's huge and it's obvious. A fire, a flood, a major network cable cut in that one region, and your service is just off. It is the definition of a single point of failure. Okay, so that's the crawl. Now let's level up and talk about the walk phase. This is where we start getting serious about surviving a much bigger disaster. With a multi-region setup, you're running a duplicate of your application in a completely different part of the world, but you're still with the same cloud provider. Think of it as running in Azure's East US region, but also having a complete copy ready to go in their West US region. You've now got that backup drive at your friend's house, across town. Now, the huge win here is that if the entire East Coast region goes offline, you can fail everything over to the West Coast. Your disaster recovery capability is fantastic. But there's a trade-off. Your costs obviously go up, and now you have this new, really tough puzzle to solve. How on earth do you keep your data perfectly in sync between two locations that are thousands of miles apart? It's not easy. All right, and now we get to the big one. For those truly mission-critical applications, we enter what we call the run phase. This is about protecting your service from what is admittedly an unlikely scenario, but a catastrophic one: an entire cloud provider having a major widespread failure. Multi-cloud means you're not just in different regions, you're using different companies. You might run your main service on Azure, but you have a complete disaster recovery setup ready and waiting on Amazon Web Services. This is that secure vault in another country. The upside here is just unmatched resilience. You're independent. If one cloud provider has a global meltdown or suddenly changes their pricing or terms, you have an escape hatch. But the flip side? Oh, it's a big one. We're talking about a massive jump in complexity. Your teams now need to be experts in two totally different ecosystems, and the overhead to manage all of that is, well, it's significant. And this chart, this really says it all, doesn't it? It visualizes that core trade-off so clearly. As you move from single region to multi-cloud, your resilience shoots up. But look at the cost and complexity. They don't just increase, they grow exponentially. So here's the thing. You shouldn't look at multi-cloud as the default for everything. Instead, you need to think of it as a strategic insurance policy. You don't buy this level of insurance for your personal blog, but for a critical financial trading platform or a hospital's patient record system, yeah, it might be absolutely essential. So how do you actually do this? How do you put this insurance policy in place without it becoming this massive, overwhelming project? Well, here's a pretty straightforward plan. First, don't try to do it for everything. Identify just your most critical service. Second, just focus on replicating its data over to that second cloud. Third, automate everything. Use infrastructure as code so you can rebuild the service with the push of a button. And finally, and this is so important, practice. Practice failing over regularly. An untested disaster recovery plan isn't a plan at all. Okay, so after all that, you're probably wondering which one is right for me. And the crucial point here is that there is no single right answer. It is all about making a deliberate choice that matches your specific needs.
And this table, honestly, this is the cheat sheet. This is probably the key takeaway of this whole explainer. Single region, it's perfect for development or apps that aren't critical. Multi-region, that's kind of the gold standard for most serious business applications that need high uptime. And multi-cloud, that's the specialist tool. It's for those cannot ever fail services, usually because of strict regulations or extreme uptime promises.
And it's not just about the uptime goals. You've got to dig a little deeper and ask some really tough questions. For instance, can your application handle a scenario where data might be momentarily out of sync between regions? Do you really have the team with the expertise to manage two clouds? Can your budget actually handle the sticker shock? And what are your contracts or regulators forcing you to do? These factors matter a lot. So when you boil it all down, the main thing to remember is this. Building for resilience is a balancing act. It is not one size fits all. It's a strategic negotiation you have to make between how much protection you need, how much complexity your team can handle, and frankly, how much you're willing to pay. And I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. You can go out and build the most brilliant, resilient, multi-cloud, bulletproof architecture in the world. But if your team hasn't practiced the failover, if they don't know the playbook by heart when the alarms go off at 3 a.m., is your service really resilient? The technology is only half the battle.